Hello and welcome to our Purposeful Paths conversation. We try not to be like a regular webinar, which frankly I find a little bit boring, but to have conversations with a community of smart practitioners and people to figure out what's actually happening in practice and leading organizations, policy that we can help translate into practice to be more effective for social and economic mobility for young people in our country. I'm James. I'm the founder and CEO of Willow Education. At Willow, we are a career readiness platform and curriculum. We're working with schools, school districts, and college access nonprofits to really do three things differently. One is to have a comprehensive curriculum, high quality instructional materials that are turnkey to take students from a journey of purpose development into career exploration and then into post-secondary planning. We lovingly weave adulting, AI, and financial literacy throughout that journey. Secondly, we have a platform that goes alongside of that. And the two things that are different about our platform is one is we're highly opinionated about quality and we project a personalized return on investment for all of our students. And secondly, we help students find quality next steps, both within college programs and then also outside of college, which we call professional programs. If you're interested in learning more, reach out. We'd love to talk to you about how we're supporting schools at serving all of their students more effectively. Today, I'm so excited. I had a great conversation with Dr. Donnell Butler, the founder and president of Prelude, about his journey into education, internship that changed his life at Citibank as a 17-year-old young man growing up in the Bronx. He's had an impressive journey, a PhD from Princeton University. He's worked at ETS and then was the Senior Associate Dean for Planning and Analysis at Franklin and Marshall College for a long time before starting Prelude. It's a really fun conversation about how do we know work-based learning really matters for young people, but it's pretty complex and complicated and hard for school systems to figure out and do equitably and effectively for all of their students. That's the conversation we dig into. You'll have to bear with me. I didn't start the recording right away, and so we pick up kind of midstream with Donnell talking about his work at Prelude. Hope you enjoy it. Please drop me a line. Let me know what you think. Thanks. The Bing. Okay, we got that out of the way.
All right.
And so this is a fun moment. Like work-based learning is having a moment. Lots of people are pushing on this, and I think it's one of the few things in our country that we have bipartisan support around and an agreement around the need for this work. I see Julie on the call from ASA. ASA is leading the charge on why this is so important from a funder and policy and program perspective. And like describe the broader problem and the need for work-based learning and like help us bring us into this moment. And then I'm like want to take us into Prelude and understand the model.
Oh, sure. So I'll bring us into the moment under my context. There are so many contexts for why work-based learning is important, but for our specific context and the way we're doing the work, what got us into it is, well, like I said before, like my success is an anomaly. So like, how could we address that? Because basically across the nation, there are millions of young people from low-income backgrounds who face really significant barriers to breaking out of what for many of them is intergenerational poverty. So if you think about it, there's sort of three things that make it so hard, that sort of limit the access to career pathways for low-income youth. One of which is like when in the 80s, when I was a kid, everybody had, like not everybody in my neighborhood had a paying job for at least part of the year. Now, granted, some of that was under the table, but it was the 80s. Well, we can talk about that offline. But like, if you look at the data from the various federal government sources, Bureau of Labor Statistics, writ large, about 60% of teens had a paying job at some point during the year. That number had fallen to as low as 30% by 2009. It's starting to climb again, but it's still only around 36, 37, 38%, depending on what year you're looking at over the last 5 years. And that's a far cry from what it was like in the 80s, when like 6 out of 10 teens were having some type of paid work experience. And so right now, the young people don't have the opportunity. The second thing that's a big challenge is that there's this sort of widening skills gap between what our education system produces in terms of student knowledge, ability, and what employers need. And the mix of jobs and skills demanded in the economy keeps moving, keeps going faster and faster, keeps shifting faster than traditional learning programs have been able to keep up. So that's a bit of a challenge for our young people. And then the third thing that's on my mind around this is that in recent decades, a lot of high schools basically have been incentivized to focus in on like testable subject area skills and college readiness. And I won't lie. I mean, in a different part of my life, I was part of that sort of college for all, you know. But even when I was part of college for all, I didn't think college for all meant everybody who's 18 needs to immediately go to college. Like, there's a challenge to going to college when you don't have a good sense of what you want to get out of it, why you're going. If you don't have the resources to do it, the last thing you want any young person to be in a situation is when they go to college and then end up dropping out or stopping out and having all this debt and no degree. It just puts a bad taste in everyone's mouth, and they come back to the community and tell everybody, don't go to college, it's not worth it. Right. And so somehow in this process of the growth in education, we stopped providing youth with the competencies they need to secure good jobs. And the weird thing about those competencies are they're actually the same exact competencies you need to be successful in college. So in so many ways, our young people have these unlimited work experiences, these underdeveloped professional skills. Um, they don't, it's not even until college that they begin to develop social capital. And if the earlier we could provide that to young people, the better. And the research shows that high quality work-based learning experiences eliminate all of those challenges that I just talked about. It improves college outcomes. It improves career outcomes. Julie's on for American Student Assistance and knows that like they had that study back in 2018. It showed only 2% of high school students participate in internships. And in a lot of ways, what we found was that gap mostly existed because high schools lacked the capacity to engage their local employers in creating meaningful learning and opportunities. And many of the businesses that might have been interested in it lacked the expertise to effectively like integrate young people into their workplaces in ways that were productive and didn't take away from what they were trying to do. And without those crucial career connected experiences, our young people, even the academically prepared ones, are going to graduate high school with no sense of purpose. And they're not going to necessarily have the skills they need to really thrive, not just in career, but in college and life. And we try to head that off at the pass through our programs. And folks,
Absolutely.
I have a
Oh,
tendency
sorry.
to monologue. So James, it's your job if I'm talking too long to cut me off or to people like raise a hand or put something in the chat so I'll like stop talking so much.
we
Can't help it. I love this stuff.
Your enthusiasm is infectious. At least for me, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. So a lot resonates. Two thoughts come to mind. To the College for All point, right at 18, I also was part of that, and now doing a lot of work to help illuminate both quality pathways within college and then quality pathways and next steps that are outside of accredited institutions. From the highest level writ large, we know that college programs have a positive ROI for learners about 2/3 of the time for people who try.
Mm-hmm.
And for WIOA workforce programs, it's about half the time.
Yeah.
And so I think a huge part of the job is helping young people figure out this one's worth it, this is not, here's why, and navigating those very complex systems. I was sitting with a young student at DSST a few months ago, one of our partners, kind of longtime partner of Willow's. And we always teach our counselors, like when a student is not going to college or on a college track, we want to make sure it's not because they're holding a self-limiting belief that they don't believe they can't do it and that there's not a good next step for them. And so we teach our counselors like the 5 whys. Just keep asking why, make sure we unearth what's going on there. And so I asked this kid, I forget his name, hey, how come you're not going to college? And he said, every day I come to school and my teachers talk to me about how much student debt they still have. And I don't know what I want to do yet. And so I want to take some time. I want to learn. here's the next step that I'm thinking about, and I want to make sure I'm pretty clear on what I want to go to college for before I make that investment. I was like, you know what? That's a
That's
damn
it.
good reason.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
um, so bring
That
us to
student's going to
Prelude.
thrive when they get to college.
100%. And you're right that the skills that students learn in work-based learning experiences are the ones that help them succeed in life and also in college. I know you've seen the Charter School Growth Fund research, which I love,
Yeah.
where it showed that students who had 8 work-based learning experiences and career exposure in high school, that they would earn $3,000 to $5,000 more per year 8 years later. And so, like, that's a really tangible ROI for high schools to be able to draw that direct line between. So that's a study that I think about a lot in our work.
Mhm.
Did you just
Help us
say
understand. Sorry, yeah, go ahead, Julie.
Go ahead,
you
Julie.
said 8 for 8? So 8 experiences in high school, and then they're earning more 8 years after high school.
Yeah, they're looking at alumni 6 to 8 years afterwards. It's a range. I'll send you the study afterwards in the follow-up materials. It's fantastic. They've done it twice now and seen repeated exposure for high quality experiences is leading to better life outcomes in their early employment. And that's true both within college pathways and also non-college pathways too.
Thank you.
And James, hi, by the way.
Hi. Hey, Kim.
I would love to see that and learn more. 8 seems high to me. Like, is there, I don't know if that's in one, industry or experience, but that
Yeah.
just, I have 2 high school kiddos right now myself, and just being in this space for a long time. Is there a way to break that down, or what does that look like?
Yeah. Okay. Great question. Thank you for helping clarify. It's career learning experiences. So not
Gotcha.
internships. It's
Okay.
like a job shadow or a career fair
An
or
exposure even.
yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sure
Thank
that
you.
kids who do 8 internships are also doing quite well, but I don't think the
Right. I was
sample
like,
size is,
oh my,
that
that
high.
feels like a lot.
Yes,
So,
that is
okay.
good.
Thank
Yes.
you so much for clarifying that.
Thank you both for jumping in. And Diane, I hope that answered your question. Okay, to Megan's question and Jamie, and I'm going to catch up on the comments, Donnell, while
Oh,
you
good. I'm glad
are
you. I saw stuff coming up, and I was like, I have a
answering
hard
here.
time reading it and hearing or watching James at the same time.
Bring us, you guys are trying to get this right. Bring us into the model and give us a kind of quick tour of what you do with students,
Yeah.
how you manage school partners, and what this looks like for employer partners.
Oh, okay. So for those who are not that familiar, what we do is pretty, it seems simple, but it's actually complicated when you get into the work. We partner with leading companies and schools to design and deliver high quality work-based learning experiences. For us, our flagship is our paid internships. But just like you were talking about a second ago, James, they're sort of like a work-based learning continuum, right? Everything from career awareness. So, you could do sort of like career fairs and like network events, all the way up to like straight up learning for work, career training, apprenticeships with federally sponsored, right? And so we're mostly focusing on internships, but we do things throughout the gamut. But our bread and butter is our flagship Learn and Earn internship programs. And those work-based learning experiences, our aim is to basically help our young people navigate the hidden curriculum of the workplace and do that in a way that helps them develop the essential 21st century durable professional and relationship building skills that they're going to need to be successful. So how do we do that? Our company partners provide year-long paid internships where high school students will usually work anywhere from 6 to 10 hours a week in high trajectory career pathways. Interns are matched with a manager on a team across the company in departments ranging from HR to finance, marketing to IT, and other similar operational functions. So it's industry and almost role agnostic. So these are sort of generalist internships. And the manager will assign interns meaningful projects. Over time, in the beginning, it's probably mostly study this, learn this, research this. And then as they get their, their abilities and they're sort of proved to their manager that they can handle accelerated and more increasing responsibilities, they'll be assigned projects ranging from creating research-based deliverables, building new productivity tools, planning events, sometime employee engagement events or community engagement events if they're in the HR department. And all of that happens concurrently with the students taking a year-long professional skills seminar that aligns to their internship experience. The goal is to enhance their workplace readiness and career building capabilities in a way where the students are totally invested. So not only do they have the paid internship, but they're earning transcript credit from their high school for completing our evidence-based career-connected learning curriculum, where the students are developing out those durable character skills, knowledge, competencies required for success. We have the skills rubric that's been it's a validated skills rubric where students are aware that they're sort of trying to grow in a variety of areas, including like dependability, basically conscientiousness, communication, interpersonal skills, problem solving, critical thinking. And the course begins in conjunction with the employee onboarding experience. So before the intern is like matched with their manager, there's essentially a onboarding period. And during that, they're learning about the company and they're beginning to develop these skills so that the students are able to essentially hit the ground running when they start their internship with their manager. And so the students throughout the program are going to be not only developing these 21st century skills, but they'll also be exploring careers, building professional networks. There's a lot of sort of social capital building that's built both into the curriculum model and how we have the students work with the managers. And so our students get all those skills. Our high school partners gain basically an innovative college and career preparation program. And for the employer side, because I think Megan asked about the employers. So one of the things that we provide is ongoing support for the managers, mentors, supervisors. Different companies will call it by a different name of the interns. We have a framework of manager resources, professional development workshops, and tools to help intern managers develop and adapt their company's sort of management practices and policies to meet the needs of a diverse group of young people where they are. The goal is to maximize the experience and the quality of work for everyone involved, both the student interns and the managers. Like, we want this to be a win-win-win for everybody. And I think in some ways what makes our approach unique around that is that we've designed what we do to both meet the business needs of our employer partners and to be turnkey for our company and school partners, so that we're essentially coordinating everything as an intermediary between and among our partners to ensure that the program's designed to meet everyone's needs, that it runs smooth and effective, that outcomes are being measured and achieved. I think the last thing I'll share on this is one of the reasons why James, you probably reached out and said, hey, let's do this webinar. When we started this work in 2022 with a pilot cohort of students at Audible in Newark, New Jersey, it was 27 students. And our goal then and still to this day is to continuously refine our program model. And with each successive implementation, we learn more and more about what are the challenges employers are facing, what are the frictions to making this work for the employer, for the school. And we've been able to sort of build out this playbook of ways to reduce those frictions and make this as seamless an experience as possible. And we went from 27 to 2022. This school year, this 25-26 school year, we'll be working with 95 students across 4 different employer partners in 5 cities, 8 high schools. And I've got a feeling that it's working. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not gonna tell everybody that it's perfect, but like it's got me excited enough to, like, people would invite me to like webinars and podcasts, and I'd be like, no, 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 because I didn't feel like we were ready. And when James reached out, I was like, I feel like we're ready, and I like James, so let's do this.
Well, I feel honored, so I'm glad that both were true. And I mean, to brag on you a little bit, because I think you're being humble, you saw 100% of students grow in their skills. They earned over $5,600 over the school year in average. And you saw an 85% proficiency rate. And 96% of your supervisors were proud of their workplace for hosting your interns. So I think a lot of indicators to demonstrate that you're on the right track. Maybe bring us into the learnings and the challenges. Like this is hard work to get right. It is not obvious. It's obvious you should be able to construct a win-win-win scenario for the student, the school, and the employer, but it's messy and hard to get there, and that is not obvious on how to do that. So I'd just love to hear what have some of the challenges been with this work, and what have you learned through that?
Well, look, anybody who's doing career-connected learning knows that, in particular, internships and apprenticeships at a high level of quality are very valuable, but are challenging to implement. And so when I think about the most common barriers we have faced, in some ways, one, our turnkey model is designed we focus on everything. How can we reduce administrative burden for employers and schools? How can we make it easy for folks to say yes to this and to be able to do it? The second thing that I think folks need to do to make this work well, the second challenge is you have to understand a lot of employers may have some doubts about what a young person is capable of. And so integrating the academic component and doing it at the sort of like place of onboarding, and in some cases, we will partner with schools to essentially begin preparing students in advance of the application process and of the interview process, so that companies can feel confident that they're getting someone who look, they're not like a 25-year-old ready to do an entry-level job, but they're ready to work. They're going to be dependable. They're going to be on time. They're going to be communicative, and they're going to work hard, right? And that much we can do, and prepare our students for day one. The third challenge is, in a lot of ways, for companies, what might cause them to have some hesitation about this is whether or not it's going to meet a business need. And so much of our early work was really around how do we meet students where they are? And once we felt like we figured that piece out, then it was how do we meet employers and schools where they are? So for most of our company partners, the program actually started as a social impact initiative, but it's become sustainable. Like, we're very proud of the fact that I always feel like I have to knock on wood. Sorry, my wood's over here. That we've had 100% employer and school renewal rates since 2022. And it's largely because, I'll give you an example. So I was mentioning the social impact is something that will bring an employer in. But what makes it sustainable is that we've figured out ways to find a tangible benefit for all of our employer partners based on their business needs. So my favorite example is that, and then a company might have an individual contributor or a set of individual contributors, but they don't have the headcount to add like a full-time junior person for those folks to manage. And what we essentially provide is learning and development support for those folks to be managers, supervisors of these interns. It provides them professional growth opportunities. They get management and leadership skills. You had mentioned the level of pride that employees describe when they're in our program. But one of the things that we're really proud of is that 84% of intern managers will report leveraging the experience for their own professional development. And so we are always trying to sort of figure out how can we meet employers where they are to address it. And for some employers, it's different things. For some, it's going to be those professional development opportunities for their emerging leaders. For others, it's going to be community impact. For others, it's going to be talent pipeline cultivation. For some, it's just straight up employee engagement, because employees get really excited when they're able to like connect with young people and get them sort of excited and fired up about following the path they're on. I mean, who doesn't want to be a role model? And so in a lot of ways, we're able to do that for our employer partners. And I think that's what keeps them coming back to the table.
Nice. Kai, you've got a great question in the chat here. Do you want to come off? You willing to come off mute and ask?
Yes. Hi, Dr. Butler.
Hey, Kai.
Great to be with you and y'all. We have a question that we're sort of vexed with from time to
Yeah.
time. We do similar work here in Stockton, California, the Central Valley, and we sort of always question the role of schools in this work. And obviously, I think all of us in this work believe there is a role for schools to play beyond just what employers can provide in terms of work-based learning.
Mm-hmm.
And so my question is around the role of academics. Right. And so much of what we do is actually work with schools on sort of like high school redesign, right? Help them develop, high quality CTE pathways.
Yeah.
And yet that work is incredibly difficult and, incredibly tough work, for the schools to do. And so, whenever I talk to employers about our work, they don't seem to really prioritize that aspect, right? They really focus on things like soft skills, durable skills, et cetera, work experience. So I'm just wondering, Dr. Butler, what you've learned about, the role of academics, right? And the extent to which that makes you want to partner more deeply with your school partners.
Yeah. Love the question, Kai. And I appreciate the Dr. Butler, but I use Dr. Butler for when I'm dealing with academics, when I'm presenting papers at an academic research conference, or when I'm trying to get like reservations at a snooty restaurant in New York. So you can just call me Donnell or DB. Look, the academics are incredibly important. I think the way we frame it for our employer partners is that durable skills, and the reason I use the term durable skills is they'll use terms like soft skills. There's nothing soft about it. Cognitively, it is really hard when your brain is still developing, and it's really hard for a lot of 30 and 40-year-olds I know, even the ones that aren't necessarily who have executive functioning challenges. It's really hard to be conscientious. It's really hard to be on time. It's really hard to take tough feedback and use that feedback to actually grow and not wither away. And so our academic content is aimed around helping students. We have this sort of cycle of learning. And we want our students to sort of understand the issues, right? So why is it that why is it that people are late, right? From a time management, to understand the issue, develop a sense of self-awareness about where you are on your trajectory of growth, and then apply it to the work experience. And so the power of the work experience is a chance to take what you know, apply it, then come back into the seminar course and reflect and get feedback on it so that you can then go back into the work experience leveled up. And that benefits the student because they get some practice opportunities in the classroom setting, but it benefits the employer because they get to see the student continuously level up because they've almost got this partner in crime who is helping them recognize that for a young person, their growth thus far in their life has largely been around the extrinsic benefits and values that come from being in school. That's how they get their wins. That's how they've learned to grow their ego and their sense of self. And we can leverage that in a way that's going to better grow these students such that by the time they're in their spring semester doing their final projects, you are thrilled and excited and like overwhelmed with not only how much growth they've had, but you begin to get a sense for, oh, we could do this with our college interns. We could do this with entry-level employees. We could do that. And it becomes this sort of recognition that there's a role for education and outside educators and academics being aligned with work that can be aligned with the entire professional growth trajectory for all of one's employees at a company. Now, Kai, at this point, we're talking about some sort of grand theoretical stuff here. Like for me, I actually believe that all companies should have a learning and development model for all of their employees. We're not there yet, And that's not my job. That's not Prelude's job. But like ideally, like there is a value to this, and getting employers excited about it is part of what we have to do.
Building from that question that Kai asked, I'm curious, what two questions here.
Yeah.
What does it look like when a school is like, there's a lot of really thoughtful practitioners on the call here with us. When a school is like, yes, we want to do better with internships. We need help with that, and we want to call Prelude. What does that look like? And then put your superintendent hat on and take some liberties, or some your high school principal hat. Like, what do you think school leaders should be thinking about and doing to get this right?
So I could give the cheat answer, which is, well, you should just contact us at Prelude, right? So to go to joinprelude.org, contact us, and let's have a conversation. I'm going to go a step further, though, because I've actually been thinking about this a good bit. I actually submitted a proposal recently for ACTE's Work-Based Learning Experience Conference. And so if anybody out there really wants to go deep diving in that, reach out to them and tell them to accept our proposal. Okay, so in some ways, there are a couple of elements. One, you need to find employers in your community who are potentially open to this. There's lots of ways to do that. One is, it's easier if you're a charter school because you probably have board members who are at major companies and can be the executive sponsor to this. But in any community, there are going to be local businesses, there are going to be large businesses in the region that you want to sort of find an in. We build out pretty much all of our partnerships at the employer side first. Part of the reason why we do that is because if we can get an employer really excited about creating these opportunities, and we can position the employer to provide the paid internship and to be thrilled to create this opportunity with a school, then it becomes really easy to come to the school and say, listen, we've got an employer. Here's what they're willing to offer in terms of number of internships. They're going to pay the students. They're going to pay our program fee. All you've got to do is provide basically two things. You've got to provide a structure that allows us to get credit for the student learning. And that might mean there's an individual site coordinator who's the liaison between the school and the employer and works with us to oversee the seminar course and to address student support needs. If the school wants to do this on their own, that's great. And we can help schools do that as well. The goal is to design a program that connects to that employer's needs, right? And then you're going to want to identify and address, and as I mentioned before, what are the barriers? What are the frictions? What are the challenges that the employer is saying, oh, we don't have the bandwidth to train teenagers. Oh, it'll be too hard to like pay them. And then begin to figure out ways that you can either partner with local organizations or have the capacity within your own school or partner with an intermediary like us to address those barriers, to reduce those frictions.
That makes sense. So there's two policy issues or barriers potentially that come to mind, and I'm a bit of a neophyte here, so perhaps you could help me understand if these are real issues or not.
Okay.
One is on credit and getting credit for work for an internship. And so you have to be in a state and high school system where that's a possibility. And the two is...
But James, let me stop you there for a second. The credit is actually for the seminar. Now, that's the way we do it. There are states in which you can get credit for work.
Right.
That's a double bonus. There are also states and colleges that will provide dual credit. So you've got to be a little bit creative like this. And you've got to sort of recognize what are the opportunities. But at the very least, as long as you've got the academic seminar component, the high school can make it an elective credit.
Yep. Okay. Helpful. Good creativity. Is there funding for employers to do this? Is it similar to the training? the guild
If there
type training
is,
thing with tax
we have not had an employer take advantage of it. Now, as you know, James, this is really fast moving stuff. Every time I turn around, another locale or state comes up with a whole new set of basically what I would describe as workforce development opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Texas has been really big in this. A lot of states are moving in this direction, partially because of what you mentioned earlier. There's bipartisan support over it. And so this is a fast moving, while we don't have any current employers that take advantage of that, like I'm sure there's somebody on this call who has experience doing that and can educate all of us. So I don't have a playbook on that one, but I know it's starting to happen.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. I've got a last question, but want to encourage folks to jump in as well. Let's assume everything is going right. What does success look like from a Prelude perspective and from a work-based learning K-12 education perspective 5-10 years from now?
So we sort of have this vision that like every young person should be able to have an opportunity like this, gain the skills, experiences, the connections that they're going to need for upward mobility. And I never want to say, oh, in 10 years, we're going to serve like 50,000 students. No, I'm not that guy. But I'll say this, if we're successful, significantly more youth from lower income backgrounds are going to be able to gain work experience, professional skills, social capital needed to not only pursue their educational goals, but their career goals in alignment with confidence and success. And if that happens, because ideally what we would like to do, and we're trying this out right now in Camden, and we're looking to try this out in other cities, is galvanize multiple employers and multiple schools and do this in a way in which it, for all these students, they not only, as they go through this program, when we're starting to track our long-term alumni outcomes. So we're just starting to see students going into their junior year, and we're really excited to see what the long-term outcomes are. But our key leading indicators are already aligning with what we're seeing in the research around what happens when college students get internships. And so these students are going to earn degrees. They're going to launch upwardly mobile careers. They're going to earn family sustaining wages. But ultimately, because of the way we're doing this, employers working in their community with local schools, it's going to reduce the brain drain. It's going to keep talented young people in their communities or coming back to their communities after they go off to college. This is not just about getting young adults achieving economic freedom and living purpose-filled lives. This is about young people and the next generation of leaders contributing to growth in their workplaces and stimulating what I would describe as sort of this cycle of equitable economic development within their communities.
Love it. Well, I hope you all get to the 50,000 number. I am the 50,000 number guy, so I think it can happen, and that would be fantastic. Would love Kashif, great to see you. You want to come off mute? Are you willing to?
Sure. Hey guys. So I have a quick question back to sort of credit. So to the extent that we were to drive credit for work, would you have the school kind of provide that structure or that rubric, or how would one go about doing it and ensure like transferability across schools too? And James, great webinar. Thanks for organizing, man.
So at the high school level, I always view it as elective credit based largely on the seminar. Now, once you get into the issue of transferability, now I think we're talking about colleges. And at that stage, I mean, it's so I live in Pennsylvania, which is somewhat bit of the wild, wild west when it comes to college and transferability of credits, even within the state system. I don't have the greatest answer on this. Like, I'm not the expert on how you deal with transferability of credits in a situation in which we're talking about work experiences. Don't get me wrong, there are folks who have tried to crack the nut on this. So for example, ACE, the American Council of Education, has spent a lot of time building out not only a framework, but literally a database and practical approaches to qualifying and credentialing work-based learning programs, apprenticeship programs, online career-connected learning programs, measuring the validity and value of those programs, giving a credit number to them, 3 credit hours, 6 credit hours, 9 credit hours, and making it available to the world. And then the uptake on that has been pretty large by a number of community colleges, but outside of community colleges, not so much. But the transferability and acceptance of those credits by competing colleges has not been ideal. So in some ways, the transferability issue becomes a little bit more about policy and building coalitions and collaborations between colleges and universities and between systems. And that is not something I'm trying to work on right now, but maybe later.
Yeah, no, that's and I think you mentioned that that's not something you're directly working on. That was just to the extent that we have to, the privilege of having you here, figure out, kind of pick your brain on it.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, and Donnell, I guess one of the things I was going to ask them was about competency. Somebody mentioned that you guys are a competency-based grader. I was going to ask, like, what about competency-based credit and things like that? And based on the answer you gave about transferability, I wonder if on the competency thing, it's going to be something similar that, hey, listen, it's a
Yeah,
work in
because
progress.
CBE credits are not like there are a lot of colleges that won't accept, they'll accept the degree
Mm,
from a insert name of competency-based education, big online company. I never want to call anybody out specifically. But
mm,
when you're halfway through the program, when you're 2/3 of the way through the program and you're not complete, they won't accept any of it. They're like, you got to start from scratch.
uh,
I know
gotta be a better
it's
answer.
not. And look, could we do something about it? Of course we can. Like I have this tendency to basically be like, you know, there is sort of this part of me that feels like we can do anything if we have the will. And so it really comes down to going back to my model of like how we work with our employer partners and how we work with our, school partners. What's the friction? What's the friction? What's reducing this from happening? I could make an argument that it's the business model of higher education. It's a little bit too competitive. People only get credit for, if they get credit at all, for the success of their graduates and their graduates only. And so because of that, I don't want somebody else's credits because that's tuition money I'm not getting. Or because of that, I don't want somebody to transfer to another institution because that's lost credit I'm getting. Like somehow, if we could create a model in which no matter what set of schools you went to, they all get credit for your success, assuming you're successful. Um, that would be one approach. I'd love to think through this, but I feel like I'm kind of busy right
Well,
And
well
and
said, sir.
if
Appreciate
you
it.
all will give me a little bit of like, kindness in this moment, I want to shout out to people who I'm like noticing are in the middle of my gallery screen. So like my colleagues who like make all of this happen and like anything that's bad about our program is my fault and everything that's great is all them. Sarah Barrett leads our strategy and operations and Beach Shaw leads our programs and has been like our master instructor building out all of this stuff. Like none of this happens without them at all.
I love it. And yes, I can attest that Sarah and Beej are good people. So it's a great team over there. And while we're in the shouting out team members, Jamie Hudgens, who's our new chief academic officer, is on the call as well. And she's been crushing it with our partners.
Woohoo.
She's quickly replaced me as our partner's favorite person to talk to at Willow. Kyle, great question in the chat. Are you available to come off and ask?
Not so much a question, and Donnell and all the
Kyle.
Prelude team, it's great to see you again. just representing sort of business association sort of perspective on this. Work with Silicon Valley Leadership Group. We're a business association in the Bay Area. And we also do a lot of policy and programming alongside our employer partners to drive workforce development efforts. And can definitely attest to just wanted to affirm some of the challenges in terms of like getting employers to buy in and participate. But also sort of uplifting the idea that work-based learning isn't just, the internships and apprenticeships, which we're all striving towards, as we know, just the, incredible ROI that comes from it, but the work, being able to leverage the spectrum of activities that are possible to really build relationships and build up to more complexity. Because it's so hard, especially for our larger companies, to participate in figuring out who exactly, are the right people to loop in. Is it HR? Is it social impact? We've been able to find some success starting with groups like employee resource groups to drive sort of employee engagement, because these are the folks that are really excited to engage in partnership with community, and then being able to build complexity from there and looping in other folks. But here, because I love the work that Prelude is doing, and definitely recognize you all as an incredible model for how to make impact possible, both for students, but also really tangible impact for the employers as well.
Thanks, Kyle.
Awesome. Thanks for that insight, Kyle. And that resonates and makes sense from my perspective.
James, I see a
Rick,
hand up.
Yeah, Rick.
Yeah, hi. I know Kyle, and I'm glad to meet some of you folks. And I'm also in Silicon Valley. One thing that I've been observing is that companies beyond, mentoring, they definitely like the light touch things that Kyle was talking about, and having an industry group like SVLG in Silicon Valley making that happen is terrific. Somewhere along the line, I read the interest that companies had in making employer-aligned curriculum, as a way of actually ensuring that the people are learning the material that fits what those jobs are. And I think that's going to be a deeper cry. It's interesting to see what's happening in AI education right now. The initiatives, all these companies have come together and are putting their curriculums like right on the table. It's almost overwhelming and a little, I don't even know how like the California community colleges are going to negotiate now that they've got like 6 different MOUs with different tech companies that are offering AI curriculum. But at the end of the day, I do feel like that process of winnowing that and making that effectively give those students not just the soft skills and not just the rough skills like AI literacy or whatever that people are going to be calling for, but the very direct skills that would give them a meaningful leg up into the workplace. And then I like the idea of not waiting until they actually graduated from college. So I think you guys are really on the right track here.
Thanks, Rick.
Yeah, it's impressive that we've gone 53 minutes without talking about AI, but it is a new world.
We almost broke a record. Oh, well.
Exactly. It is a new world that our young learners and earners are working in and graduating into, with dramatic impacts on the labor market already, probably more to come. And how we prepare young people for that is a challenge that we will need to sort through and figure out. So, Rick, thanks for those insights. Donnell, did that spark anything for you?
I mean, I need to get myself up to speed on the growth of employer-aligned curriculum, because in some ways that used to be a thing a long time ago. I mean, there once was a time where employers did most of the professional development training within their companies. Sometimes because of, they want to protect their secret, the old sort of IBM days, and sometimes because they thought, well, I know the right way to develop my employees. I don't know enough about the history of work to explain like why that changed over time and why we suddenly got to this point in which the expectation was so-and-so will come out of college with a degree in X and be able to do everything I want them to do. And, I think we've got to figure out, is there a place for rebuilding employer-aligned curriculum? And I'm excited to dig into this thanks to Rick's comment.
it's maybe a nice time to make a plug for next month's Purposeful Paths webinar, which is
Ooh,
with
what you
Tim
got?
Taylor from America Succeeds. I'm sure many of you know Tim and America Succeeds. They worked with CompTIA and 12 leading employers to develop the durable skills rubric and framework that they published, oh, not even a year ago, that we are using within our curriculum and platform and assessment, and trying to articulate not the technical skills, Rick, but the durable skills that are most valued by employers in the labor market for entry level jobs. And so we found that resource to be really impactful. I think it's important to separate out the technical and the durable skills, and I don't know if it's possible to get to common technical skills other than places like AI literacy and some other um, specific ones. But I'm excited for the conversation with Tim, and I'll make sure that all of you all get that invite as well.
Well, yeah,
Rick, I
I'm
saw you come off
curious
mute. Go
actually
ahead.
on the assessment side of that. There are companies like Skillfully that are basically creating digital twins of job interview type things where they can assess that. And then I've actually talked to a person who's looking to be all about essentially credit for these durable skills. And is there a particular person that since she's not on this call that I might want to refer her to? I imagine she knows the landscape pretty well, but you never know who you're going to meet in these meetings.
With America Succeeds?
With any organization that would actually be interested in sort of a credit, like a credential or something that would, vets it, and so it's not just, exposure and, hoping they have the place has a good enough reputation that they have the skills coming out of it, but more truly vetting the person.
It's a great question. I think America Succeeds probably has a strong take on the landscape of how different people are assessing and using durable skills. Carnegie and I'm blanking on the name of the assessment company, ETS, are doing some piloting work in this space right now. We've built out an assessment.
Ed
But there's
Design
slightly
Lab
different use
has their
cases.
durable
Education
skills
design
micro
labs,
credentials.
yeah, correct. They've built out an assessment as well. And happy to connect. Like point, you can. I dropped my email in the chat, Rick. Feel free to follow up, and I'm happy to kind of make connections as useful. Donnell, we've got 2 minutes left. What are 2 or 3 things that you hope folks walk away with after this conversation, and where can we find, keep abreast of your work as it continues to grow and develop?
I hope folks walk away with a sense of hope. Like, I don't think we get to a better future for our nation, for our world, if we don't invest in those who are coming after us. If we don't uplift our young people and put them on a pathway to thrive in their life, then there's not really a future. And so much of what we do at Prelude and our co-conspirators do is really about inspiring hope that we can figure out ways to solve the problems that people say are problems that get in the way of creating better opportunities for young people. And so if folks want to go on that journey with us in some ways, hey, I think I looked over, I think Sarah included her email in the chat. She leads a lot of our sort of early partnership development work. Visit our website, joinprelude.org. We're also on LinkedIn. Actually, I think give me a second. I'm really bad at doing these things in real time, but I purposefully put this here so that I could. Oh, I didn't have to. Sarah already put in the chat. Yay. See, this is why she's the best. Connect with us on LinkedIn. And look, if I will make a straight up ask. If you're looking for an innovative way to develop your talent while creating a real impact in your community and you are an employer, reach out. Or if you know employers who would be interested in our model, tell them about us and tell us about them. We'd be happy to make this work for as many areas of the country as we can because it's desperately needed.
Awesome. Well, keep going. So what a privilege to be with you today. Thank you for your expertise and
No,
and
thank
your
you,
work.
James. And thanks for everybody for coming.
Absolutely. Really appreciate everyone being here, and we'll see you soon. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Rick. Nice to meet you.
Thanks, Rick.
Bye, Mom. Thanks, man.
That's adorable. This is great. That's great. Was it good for you? Was everything like I don't do a lot of these.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna start doing more of these.
Great.
I got one scheduled in a couple of weeks. Well, this is not my normal modus operandi.
You got to get the good word out there. It's hopefully it's helpful. I'll send you the full list of everyone who came and registered.
Oh, thank you.
And so that you have, you can add them to your mailing list or reach out to anyone who you wanted to follow up with. And no, I thought it was great and really appreciate you doing it with me. It's fun. It's hard work to get right. And so I enjoy digging into the complexity.
Yeah. And like, I want to dig into it even more with more folks. And I'm hoping that organizations, like I'm glad American Student Assistance was on. I'm glad Julie was there. I think they can play a big role in bringing all of us together to try to solve some of these problems because they've got the resources to convene and all of those things that can be done.
Are they a funder of yours?
No, they're not, but I'm still a fan.
They should be. They should be. I think it's right in the lane. So
I think it's in the lane, but I think our scale, like they know we exist. I'm in the we're both in the early career, like Judith knows me. I think we are not probably scaling fast enough for them. We don't have the big reach. We have the big aspirations and change the world kind of landscape approach, mostly through trying to get it really right.
Yeah.
And once we get it really right in a couple of places, then I think we'll hopefully find the right funders to help us.
We should compare notes on curriculum too. I spent about $150K last 2 quarters building out like a 9-12 super scoped curriculum. I'm sure there's a lot of overlap between.
Whoa. Okay. Then I'm going to want to bring Beej into that conversation because Beej is like, she used to be a dean at Relay Graduate School of Ed. It's like this master, and it's just like, she goes hard on this stuff sometimes.
Good. Norman picked up our lessons. He's like, this is how I like lessons to go, which is also how I like. So we got at least one.
That says a lot. Look, I'll tell him I say hi. I'm talking with him at 4:00 this afternoon.
Oh, please do. I owe him a follow up on a couple of things, but no, please say hello for me. Thanks again. Really, really appreciate it. And I hope to see you soon.
No, thank you. I definitely hope to see you soon. Be well.
Take care. Yeah, you too.